Hey, welcome back. I'm Howard Zonder, CEO of LandSpeed, the premier CRM system built exclusively for land investors. In the last session, we talked about how pricing is a strategic asset to professional land investors, but it could really hurt you if you don't know how to do it. And one of the key principles of that is that you don't want to buy low and sell high with land. You want to buy low and sell low so you can sell faster and have more transactions per year. And if you do that, the numbers work out. You can actually make 40% or more on your money than if you bought low and sold high. In this session, we want to now go into the nitty-gritty of pricing. We want to talk about a couple of secrets that you need to know in order to make the most money in land. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the metric that we use to price with. If I go out into the marketplace, if I go to LandWatch or Zillow or Craigslist and I get comps, I'm going to see all these different properties. So I might see, a property for $25,000 and it's 10 acres. And then I've got another property in the county that's $15,000 and it's 12 acres. And I've got another one that's $12,000 and it's let's say it's 6 acres. Actually, let's use some easier numbers here. Let's make this also 10 acres. So you've got 25,000 at 10 acres, 15 at 10 acres, and 12,000 at 5 acres. How do you make sense of that? How do you turn that into something you can actually use in pricing? And the trick is we have to turn all of this information into the same metric so that we can get an apples-to-apples comparison. This is all different. But if I look at the numbers, if I can just take the price and divide it by the acres, then I'm going to get 25,000 divided by 10 is 2,500 is the price per acre. And 15,000 divided by 10 is going to give me 1,500 per acre. And 12,000 divided by 6 is going to give me $2,000 per acre. So now I can actually take this information and I can compare these properties. This property is $2,500 per acre. This property is $1,500 per acre. This is $2,000 per acre. If I add it all together, I get 3, 4, 5, 6,000. And then if I divide that by the 3 that I have here, on average, that means my average price per acre is $2,000. And that's how I can take the data and turn it into something usable so that I can figure out how to price with it. And then I can take, let's just say in my county I think that the price is $2,000 per acre. I can take that $2,000 per acre, multiply it times the size of the property. And every single property gets its own price based upon its size. Everybody's not getting the standard, everybody gets $500 an offer, where everybody gets $200 per acre. I'm actually figuring it out based on comps to come up with a price per acre and then multiplying it times the size of the property. So that's the first important metric and the important secret to pricing successfully. Now, come back here and I'm going to erase this. And I want to talk about the next one, which is really important. So before I talk to you about land pricing, I want to talk to you about something else. It's a metaphor that we're going to use. Imagine we're looking for the Titanic under the ocean. Or imagine remember when Malaysia Flight 370 crashed in the Indian Ocean and they had to look for it. How do professional search and rescue teams look on very, very large geographies to try to find something? Well, what they'll do is they'll say, I know it's roughly in this space right here, but I don't really know where. So then what they do is they make a grid. And they start searching one grid at a time. Nope, didn't find it here. Move on to the next one. Didn't find it here. Didn't find it here. And they keep going until all of a sudden, bingo, there it is. They found it. You've got to look for things in smaller areas that make more sense, right? When you're doing search and rescue. Well, it's the same thing with a county. Let's just say this was a county. What you might have when you do your analysis of all the properties, if you were to map them out, is you might find that over here, the price per acre is $2,000. But over here, the price per acre is $800. Well, you don't want to use the same price everywhere in the county. Counties can be quite large. In fact, San Bernardino County, California is bigger than the state of Rhode Island. So you need to break this down into smaller units that make sense. And the way to do that, the way I like to do it, is based on subdivision. So if there are subdivisions in your county, find out what properties are in that subdivision, figure out what the price per acre is in that subdivision. Why? Well, subdivisions oftentimes have HOAs. HOAs have rules, which means that, okay, this subdivision is really optimized for mobile homes, or this subdivision is optimized for McMansions. And what ends up happening is, because the rules are the same throughout the subdivision, the values of land tend to be the same throughout a subdivision. So you can figure out your price per acre within that subdivision, and then all of the properties that you want to price after that, if they're in that subdivision, that's the price per acre they get. This one over here is in a mobile home subdivision. It's going to have a different price per acre. So all the properties that we want to price that are in that subdivision will get that price per acre. Sometimes, though, it's hard to find subdivision data. Well, that's okay, because there are other ways to do it. There are things called, within the mapping system, called section, township, and range. There's ways of putting a grid system over the map, and you can actually do this in Google Earth. And you can then identify, okay, this is, a section 12, 8 east, I'm not making this very clear to read, but 8 east and 13. And that's what this one is right here. And so you can then say all properties that are in that square, I'm going to designate them as 12, 8E, 13. And all the properties that have that designation will get priced the same way. What's important is that we get a smaller geographic area than the entire county, because this is too broad and there's too much variation in the pricing to get accurate. And we want to get accurate. Why? Why is it so important that we get accurate? It's important because imagine you were selling your car and you had, I don't know, let's say it was a 2010 BMW 3 Series, right? And somebody comes and makes you an offer of, $1,500. And you're going to say, it's low miles, it's in pristine condition. Are you out of your mind? I'm not selling you my car for $1,500. You might even get angry because it's such a low-ball offer. But no matter what happens, you're sending the guy packing. You may not even respond to him, even if you wanted to sell it. Well, let's just say another guy comes to you and says, I'll give you $30,000 for that car. And you're like, holy smokes, that car's only worth about, $7,500. But yeah, I'll take $30,000 all day long. Well, what's going to happen is the person who's going to offer you $30,000 will probably realize that they can't buy it for that price, so you're not going to make the sale. And the person who wanted too little, you're not going to sell it to them. So in either way, the sale is probably not going to happen. It's the same thing in land. If you send out offers that are really, really low-ball prices, people are going to get angry. Many of them are just going to throw it in the garbage can. Maybe they'll get back to you. Maybe they'll call you to tell you they're angry, or they'll write a nasty note and send it back to you in the mail. It happens all the time. But regardless, you're probably not going to get to purchase their property. On the other hand, if you send them a price that's way too high, they're going to be all excited and they're going to call you up and say, heck yeah, I want that deal. And then you're going to go into your due diligence on the property, and you're going to say, whoa, wait a second, the property's worth a fraction of that. I can't pay this, and I won't be able to sell it and make any money. In fact, I'll probably lose money. So what are you going to do? You're going to call them back and say, sorry, I made a mistake. I can't do that deal. In either case, you're not buying a property. But if you figure out the accurate price per acre, multiply it times the size of the property, and then send that offer, and it's within the realm of reasonability, then they're probably not going to be overly angry. they're probably not just going to throw it in the garbage. If there's any inkling in them, any desire within them to sell that property, they're going to contact you. It's not always going to happen, but sometimes it will. And if you can get even 1 or 2 extra deals out of a mailing, how much is that worth? I mean, look at the example we gave in session 1. If I buy a property for $1,000 and sell it for $2,400 in a month, I just made an extra $1,400. So if you can make an extra $1,400 just on one deal, one extra deal because you priced it properly, isn't it worth it to do that? I'd say yes. So 2 important concepts in today's lesson. The first one is when you do look at all your comps, what we're trying to do is reduce every comp into a price per acre. So we do apples to apples comparison. And then what we want to do is we want to divide the county up into smaller sections and put properties in those sections so that each one gets its own price per acre. And then that's what we use for properties that would show up in those geographies. All right, that's today's lesson. I hope you got something out of it. In the next lesson, we're going to take these concepts, we're actually going to price a county. I look forward to seeing you there.